Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Isaac Williams, your host of Mining Our Business with Black Friday Business Initiative. The purpose of this show is to galvanize the Black community around thoughts and our business owners. To find out who we are, let's talk about how we can create generational wealth, how we can give back and support our Black-owned businesses, know who those proprietors are and what they're doing for our community. Black Friday Business Initiative is a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you want to donate, we accept all donations, whether it be sweat equity or the kind of money that folds. We want all of that because we need to pour into our own communities to grow ourselves. It's time out for us knocking on everyone else's door for help and handouts. It's time for us to be able to strengthen ourselves and look within ourselves. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have architects, we have movers and shakers, we have street workers, we have everything that we need in our community to help us stay afloat and to keep us afloat. And how do we do that? It's a hand-in-hand thing. So what Black Friday did, Black Friday Business Initiative, what I did when I created this platform, I set it up that we can look in ourselves, and what we do is we identify the Black community with this symbol, this logo that you see. When you see that logo, it tells you, one, that it's a Black-owned business, two, that they have a great product and service, three, that their product and service has a fair price, and four, that they give back to the community. If we understand that, because we can then begin to move away the old stigma that Black businesses don't have good service and or their prices are astronomical. So now when you see the symbol, you know immediately that they stand for those 4 principles. And we always want to give back. So we support our businesses can support us. With that being said, this show highlights that. And I have one of my good friends, Rudy, the Foodie. I've been following this guy for a while. I've been on him pretty much my whole life. A phenomenal person, in and out. I'm talking outside and inside. He's genuine. He's about business. He's about bringing brands together, highlighting brands. And I'm gonna let him talk more about all of that when he comes on. And I'm not gonna hold y'all up with my banter anymore. I just wanted to highlight this brother and give him the justice that he's due. So with that being said, I'm gonna add my man on, and we're gonna get rocking and rolling.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Man, I am blessed. I am blessed.
Yeah. So look, you're on the show. We live. You know about being live. You do this all the time.
But I'm kind of jealous, man. Like, you got a nice intro.
I got a nice intro.
Yeah, you had me waiting. You had me waiting in the green room like I'm some, superstar stuff.
You are a superstar, man. I'm gonna tell you. I'm bringing Rudy on, man. I got to show off, man.
Man, you had. I had my rider. I sent my rider to you. I only wanted purple Skittles, and I'm in the green room. I'm feeling luxury. So,
but you don't want to hear me. I'm set up in Cali, like I'm telling you, I'm big dogging. I see you, brother.
I'm just I'm pivoting, is what they say.
Pivoting. Talk to me about that. What that is. Tell me what's that.
Man, it's right now. It's really what I define pivoting as. I started out defining as adjusting your business principles and how you actually possibly engage and spoke to your customers. But now I feel like pivoting really is just about staying encouraged. It's less about what you can control, and it's more about just really working on your mindset, so that when this thing ends, you're in the mindset to be able to continue what you were doing. Gotcha. And I think that I spent a lot of time the first 3 months really trying to figure out how to keep going, because we did have a lot of momentum. And then I realized that I was crashing and burning. So I've taken these last 3 months to spend time in my personal life.
That's important.
Really, spend time with the kids. I'm in a new relationship, so that actually changed everything.
Okay.
Which grounded me, So
right.
It actually is going to be better on the other side of the tunnel when this is all said and done and we can get back to just normal, normal interactions. So that's pivoting.
Do you think that's going to be a back to normal?
I think it is back to normal. I think what you're seeing is, honestly, I think you're seeing just parameters that our local officials have to put in place to at least keep it top of mind for folks. I don't think that if you look around, I'm in Cali right now, and I just went to a restaurant and we ate outside. Gotcha. So, I mean, we're just having to eat outside. How you're being served is changed. That's all.
Right.
I went into a retail store. It was business as usual. Everyone just had a mask on. The prices were the same. The product was still on racks. It's just that the way you enter, exit, and you exchange conversation is with that frontal mask on, and I think that's what's frightening to folks. But it's necessary.
So with that, all right, that's a thought, a very good perspective and point. When we start talking business as usual, there's another aspect and condition of the conditions that we're in, no pun intended, dealing with employment, and we're going to get into that. Education is being affected, and the housing market, which is eventually is going to be affected by, like they just had this big protest here in New Orleans recently. They was blocking the eviction court, from people so they won't pass evictions in the city. So what's your thoughts about all that, in comparison or in conjunction, if you will, to what you just shared about the business as usual?
I think you had 4 parts to that. You had housing, right? You had jobs. What were the other 2? So I can just keep them together.
Education
and
the other one was kind of fluff. So just deal with those 3.
Well, it was employment, right? Which is a big piece of it. Employment is a big piece of it, right? So on the employment side, I think that it just depends on what actually state, city you're in, because each part of the United States have something that's important to them, meaning at a specific industry, right? Whether it's auto industry, whether it's banking, whether it's stock trade, like in New York, New Orleans is hospitality. I think that what you're seeing on the employment side, I think you're seeing what we've always expected and what always happened during any hurricane, pandemic, state of emergency. The hospitality industry is always impacted.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, but it always seems to impact that industry the most. But we also, on the encouraging side, always see that that industry bounce back the most.
The fastest. Right.
Because people still need to eat. People want to be hospitable to others. People want to travel, all of the things. So
right.
I think that, I think the issue though is you have right now, we're in the 6th month of this thing, right? And we still don't clearly know when it's going to be over. And all of the resources to help people afloat has ended. And now people are actually calling jobs to go back to work, but there are no hours to offer them. So I think in one breath, you have a group who says, hey, we don't want to give these resources because we don't want to enable folks to not want to go back to work. And then you have another group, well, we want to give them these resources because they need it. The idea of it is that as much as people, there's a very small percentage of people that don't want to work. The number is really low. Right. If jobs were available, people will go to work.
Right.
So we can't say that. I think it's unfair to say that that not giving those resources to keep people afloat, because guess what? The banks still want their money. We just talked about housing. Landlords still want their money. Right. It's Lowe's and Home Depot, whether you have credit with them or not, for contractors, they still want their money to build houses. And so all of these vendors that service the hospitality industry still want their money. Right. So, everybody else is getting paid still, except the people who are doing the work. So if you don't help the people who are doing the work, how are we going to actually balance this thing off? Right. And so I just think that I really hope that the government officials find a balance between keeping everyone safe and keeping the economy sustainable. You know, I don't know if I have anything to offer at that level to the table, because I know it's a lot of bureaucracy and politics involved.
Right.
But I think it's you know, it's more common sense to me, man. Help the people, man. Just help people, you know. It's not going to kill you to help people, you know. It's almost like when you birth a new baby, right? The baby didn't ask to come here.
Right.
You know, so we didn't ask for the pandemic.
Right. But
you know, you still got to take care of the baby when it's born. Right. So just take care of people, and I think people will take care of you.
Right. And I appreciate that, man. And I think that I'm asking the question because, one, I want to get your thoughts on it, because you are a business owner. You are, you know, moving around as a mover and shaker in society. You have kids that you mentioned, or a child. I'm not 1, 2, 3, 4. How many you got out there? You mentioned 3 children. 3. So you got kids. Okay, which are boy, girl, boy, girl.
2 girls and a boy.
I got 2 girls and a boy as well. I got a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and my boy, he's 11. He'll be 12 in December. Yeah.
22, 16, and 10.
And you started early, man. You've been in them streets, man.
Hey, listen, man, I thank God for the wisdom now, though, you know?
Right. And that's what it'll bring us to, man. You know, every life experience. So it's just a compound thing, you know. It's like, to me, I look at life like a cake. You know, like you start off with all your ingredients, and as you start building it, you know, each part is another level of who you are, and it shouldn't be something that you're afraid of or scared to explain or to discuss. This is who I am. This is where I came from, and I've evolved. You know, just you mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna segue to something else off of self. You mentioned about birthing a baby. Business is just the same way, right? It's like you have this grandeur thought in your mind. You say, I can do something. And then you bring that baby to life. And what happens when you begin to start a business, you see it a certain way, but that business wants to do what it wants to do, right? It kind of like, it evolves. You learn more about yourself. And that's why I want to intertwine those things together. You know, it's like, and each phase of your business, each phase of yourself identifies your brand and who you are. Go ahead and touch on that for me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man. Look, I've been very, very blessed to be able to have had, you know, some of the experiences that I've had in, you know, just career paths. To say this to you, I'm working on. I just want to put this out there. I'm working on a story that's going to be called Career Path of a Black Man. And I want to create a documentary about how hard it is for us to continuously to have to sell ourselves. You know, when I go for an interview, I have to be 10 times greater than everybody else.
Right.
Every single time. When I go to present my business idea or solutions, I have to be 10 times greater. So keep in mind, when we're back here trying to birth the business and start it, we have to always keep in mind that we're going to always work harder. So I'm okay with that. So that's the first thing.
Right.
Second thing is, you know, when I started on this entrepreneur path, I no longer wanted to work for anyone else. And I had made that in my mind that I didn't care how hard it is. I was fed up with keeping people employed. I was fed up with sleepless nights having to balance a budget. I was fed up with having to absorb everyone else's baggage, and I didn't have any way to, you know, talk about my things that I had going on. And so once and it's nothing against management, it's nothing against the folks who do that. You know, entrepreneurship is a choice. Right. And it's lonely. It's lonely. I spend a lot of days trying to figure things out. But I'm better equipped to I'm okay with firing myself. right? I'm okay. I'm okay if I have to give myself a raise or demote myself. You know, maybe I can't give myself a raise, right? We didn't meet budget, but I'm only dealing with me.
Right.
The people that we contract out, whatever their value is, you have to support that, right? So I was okay with that. Thirdly, my idea for myself and my business was to be the Black Anthony Bourdain of food media space, right?
I feel that.
So when I created the space of Rudy the Foodie, it all came from a space of I was a 25-year hospitality guy with all these great experiences, worked for some of the best chefs, ran some of the best restaurants. I did not want to do the 50-hour-a-week, 60-hour-a-week grind anymore. How can I stay involved, right?
Right.
So with the evolution of Instagram and all those things, I started putting together what else could I do to service the industry and still make an impact, you know, because we still want to feel good about what we're doing, right?
Right.
And so we just started, figuring out how we can just, talk about food. And one thing led to another. It led to me being able to, really, create a space where people were calling me in to try new entree items or whatever it was, and then, get others to want to buy it, right? And so the pivot from that was, when we talked about the birth, so that was the birth, right? So then as the child got older, like you said, it starts to do what it want to do, right? It starts to take a life of its own. And so what happened was, people like Rudy the Foodie so much, it opened the doors for other conversations. So Rudy the Foodie is the brand. Unfortunately, I don't like it. I really don't like it because I'm forced to be this person all the time.
Community.
But but he is the icebreaker, right? And so I'm okay with that. But what happens now is that I am listening to people I'm sitting across from and they need all these services and they have all these issues. I'm like, well, how else could I offer solutions under this space, make it make sense for everybody, and still be able to deliver whatever I agreed to deliver?
Gotcha.
And so, all I did was, man, I transferred all of the skills that I've ever learned and I packaged it all in one. And if I'm not necessarily always the one delivering the solution.
Right.
I can be the quarterback, but I'm throwing the pass to the next wide receiver. So what we really are, RUDYBX, is what we evolved to, was we really wanted to be, quote unquote, McDonald's, this happy meal in the box, right? Like when you pulled up as a child of McDonald's, you knew there was all goodness in that box. Now we know it's bad for us just because of the way food has changed, right? It's still a happy place. Like when a kid get a Happy Meal in that box, they happy, right? So I wanted RUDYBX to be just that. I wanted when you got our solutions, you were happy, right? And so we wanted to be able to offer, just consultation on, how to run a business, right? On a restaurant side, because that was my skill set, right? How to engage with customers and keep butts in the seats, right? That's where the creating loyal appetites for brands came from. And it just kind of, it went from there. Now I have people calling me about all types of solutions. You were on one of those engagements with us with the Pythian Market, right? They wanted us to create solutions on how to get people in the doors, right? And we were going to partner with you guys before the pandemic to help us do that.
Right.
And so that's essentially what it is. We are a boutique company that basically we surround ourselves with other entrepreneurs that are experts in their area, and then we present these solutions for our clients. Gotcha. So what I realized was that I can be in business and I don't necessarily have to be the one creating a direct deliverable. I can be the person who is quarterbacking it and allowing others to eat too. So I always wanted to base our mission off around helping other entrepreneurs grow. And that's kind of how we did it. And we've been successful at it. But, obviously with the pandemic and stuff, we're stalled and people are still engaged. But what we had to understand was what we directly do, the funds are not available at that time, at this time. Right. And so the pivot is being able to, like I said, stay encouraged, hold on to that. And when the air clears, you know, be ready for whatever is needed.
Yeah. You know, you said a lot in that mouthful, in that breath just now. And there's a lot of questions that I wanted to ask that you covered, which is a good thing. That wasn't even that's not a knock. I actually appreciated what you did. And something that you said in there that it brought me to start thinking about personality, right? To be an individual, first of all, let's start with the entrepreneur, right? And you say it's lonely and it's being an entrepreneur, and I get that because I'm teeter-tottering right now. I'm in my transition times of my life, right? Because any entrepreneur feels that, and that's not nothing against someone who wants to go to work, right? It's like everyone has their lane, you know. So if everybody was an entrepreneur, who's going to work the business, right? So you need people to make the thing happen. Some people enjoy the comfort and the quote unquote assurance, and I say quote unquote because nothing is sure, as we can see right now. But people are comfortable with knowing I got this check is going to come in. Being an entrepreneur, when you really step out there, it's one of those things like I dictate how much I make or don't make. Based upon my personality, going back to the word personality now, right? So just because you have the entrepreneurial spirit doesn't mean you have the face or the personality to be an entrepreneur in certain lines of business, right? So if you're an abrasive person, you may not know that, and you may be repelling the people that you're trying to do business with. There was this book that I read it back a while back. It's called The Art of Seduction, right? And about Robert Greene, and it talks about different personality types. And one personality types is the ideal lover. And what the ideal lover does, it replicates its mate. So whatever the mate does, it does, and it makes, because everybody, it's like the narcissism in us. We want to see ourselves in what we do. Like our cars look like us, our animals look like us, So when you're mirroring someone, they're able to feel more comfortable with you, and to have a personality. And I as I'm talking to you, and I've known you, for a very long time, over 20-something years now. The development of personality, as far as like, how do you see yourself from a high school student, leaving high school, getting out, started understanding life? Because I'm a believer, once you leave high school, that's when life really start. You start figuring out some things. So you mentioned working in the hospitality industry for so many years, and now you're the front man, the plug, if you will. So touch on that a little bit for me.
Well, I've been a leader all my life.
Gotcha.
All my life. All my life since I can remember, I wanted to be the leader. Obviously, when you're developing that leadership, you have to know how to follow, right? So after going through all of those phases and really growing up, I realized that to be a leader leadership is not position, it's action, right? But I am able to make tough decisions.
Gotcha.
I'm able to make decisions that others would have sleepless nights over, right? And I think that that's the difference. We could all call one another CEOs and all. I hear all these terms that go out, right? But at the end of the day, can you make a tough decision?
Like what?
Can you actually, sleep at night and really make a decision that may, put you in a space, like I said, where you're the worst person in the world,
Gotcha.
Right? And still be able to function in a space where it's business as usual, right? Because you have to know how to code switch. Gotcha. So I think coming from high school, obviously you and I attended the same high school. I think that's where it started at. That foundation was a foundation of, we were built as champions, right? And the reason why I didn't really realize what St. Aug did for us until I went and consulted for the school, right? Aug Craddock hired me to consult as his personal consultant, right?
That's nice, right?
And then he sat me down and he said, you have to remember that we are champions. That's the school. We are champions. We're not anything else but champions. And when you have a champion mindset, you can go out and champion anything. So you can champion your organization to be the best nonprofit because you have a champion mindset. Right. So it started there. We were in the band. We had a great band, right? We were competitive. We wanted to compete. So I think we wanted to be, we were the best. We are the best.
The desire to be the best. Yes. It has to be inside you. Yeah.
Right. And so, and I don't want to leave, I got a great father, man. So I don't want to leave that foundation out. So my father, my father and his foundation, my grandmother, because there was some ladies that touched me, right? My mother, her mother, and things like that. But then when we go to high school, being an altar server, I had to be a leader, right? So going to high school, I had another opportunity to lead. We all were section leaders in our respective space, right? But we still had to follow directions from our drum majors, right? So it's development of being a leader, right? And then the one crucial thing, man, I'll share this with you, that really pivoted me early in being able to accept management jobs and being offered a management position, even at 21. I think I might have been 21. I took care of sick mother at 18. A lot of people don't realize that. My mother got sick with an aneurysm. I think that at that time I was debating on whether or not I was going to go to the yard. I was going to be either Joe Bowie or I was going to be a roommate with somebody. I don't even know, but I was in the midst of having to make the biggest decision of my life, graduating from St. Aug, not to attend college.
Decision making. Back to decision making.
Back to decision making. And so I decided that it was more important and the right thing to do was to take care of my sick mother. So that's the decision I made, right? Went to a local college, took some other skill sets and learned some other things from other trade schools. But I went right into work because I had to support my sick mother.
Take care of business.
And so, look, man, like I said, it led, one thing led to another. I used all of those skills to act as I was already experienced as a manager, right? Because I figured, my experience came from managing my mom. That's what I used, And so what that did, man, that transition into me being able to get awarded other positions, and I never looked back. Did I have some setbacks? Yes, I did. But from that point on, what I realized is that you don't necessarily have to be in the front to lead.
Right. You don't, man. And some of you said, and I that I really like, man, and it sparked some thoughts in my head. Like at this time in my life now, and we're in the same age bracket. I feel like if you walk in a house and in every room have a light switch, like all the lights have turned on. There may be one way in the back that I don't know about because I ain't got there yet. But for the most part, I see what I need to see. My experiences have gotten me where I am today, and I couldn't have gotten to this place any faster, right? Because I'm like, man, I wish I would have known this. You couldn't have known it because you had to have had that experience to get you at, right? So I feel confident in myself as an individual and as a person, and and I say this to young entrepreneurs that's out there that's trying to get ahead of their process, because it's a process, right? And it's not to say that you can't get things moving fast, but certain things of when you identify yourself, right? That self-identity comes through time, and it comes through a lot of experiences on this planet, and the ups and downs that we all go through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, man, the one thing that I see in the young entrepreneurs today that I always try to encourage them is that everything is not a cash transaction. I think with people, and this is just not young entrepreneurs. I see business owners, I see owners do it all the time with that I might engage in a consulting conversation just to see if there's something we can offer them. But it's about building relationships.
Yes. Yes.
When you treat it as a transaction, it doesn't create a repeat process. The idea of business is to create repeat customers. Some industries by default automatically create repeat customers just by default. And then there are some that can't. Some you have to really earn a repeat customer, right?
Right.
So point in case, Home Depot are going to have repeat customers. You know, McDonald's are going to have repeat customers.
Right.
You know, and so my point is a little flower shop may not. Or anything, a website designer may not, right? Because there's a more technical details in all of those different spaces, right? Something can change. You know, a person could be off 1 or 2 times and somebody decide, let me give somebody else a try, right? So things like that may change. But the idea of it is to always go into business with the intent to build a relationship, to see exactly what you can offer the group, person, or people that's on the other side of you, and be very honest if you can't. Right. Because if you don't and you can't deliver, now you have severed a relationship. Right.
So what's that old statement to undersell and overdeliver, right?
So let me tell you, I used to use that all the time. Let me tell you why I don't use that anymore.
Talk about it.
You know, it's called overpromise and underpromise, overdeliver, right? So when you go to the table, you know, you automatically know that, you know, if you really haven't done that job before. Like, I've taken jobs that I absolutely have no experience in, right? But I know I can get the team together to pull it off, right? But I think sometimes when you over deliver, right, you actually devalue what you actually charged.
That's true.
That's true. That's the money grab I'm talking about. That's the transaction I'm talking about. That's that cash transaction. Because in entrepreneurship, we do it all the time because we eat what we kill.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying when I say that?
Gotcha. 100%.
So,
go ahead.
So sometimes we're grabbing for whatever out there. Is why we under promise and over deliver.
Gotcha.
So what I have learned is my value as what it costs an hour to engage with us is what it is. Meaning that you have to decide whether your business fit with inside our value.
That makes sense.
Like a lot of people say, hey, what's your budget? Right? Well, there's not a lot of options as an entrepreneur to create that many types of like, it's not a Home Depot. It doesn't have SKUs. Right. Like, if you go down a retail store and they have multiple SKUs, they have something for each person's budget.
All right.
As an entrepreneur, we don't always have solutions that we offer that matches each person's budget.
Right.
So what I learned to do is attract the people who can fit within inside my budget.
Right.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's not in the first conversation talking about how much it costs. I look for those cues now. When the first thing you ask me is how much am I an hour, then the conversation has just broken down.
Right.
So I think that's another part of it that, you know, that as a young entrepreneur, businesses, Black businesses, that we have to just go through the conversations, right?
Right.
Because again, if it's built about relationships, that means that you're going to see value in me like I see value in you.
Right.
Now, as we have the conversations about, if I say to you in my questionnaire, you know, if I ask you about the health sustainability, the financial sustainability of your organization, meaning tell me about how many employees you have, how much business you have, I'm going to know exactly probably what your budget is by the types of questions I ask you.
Right.
I won't really have to. Go ahead.
Let me bring this up because I had this conversation earlier with my girl about brands and supporting and high-end Black-owned brands, right? So I'm a proponent, and I stand for the fact that everybody started somewhere.
Sure.
Gucci started somewhere. Prada, all these what you call these fashion houses, they started somewhere. One guy, I think it was Gucci, started off making shoes, and he had a lot of odd jobs, started making shoes, and we know him and that brand for what it is today. And that was a show that's on Netflix called Remix. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it's a good show to watch. And I think the lady name is Misa Hinton or something like that. She actually was one of the premier stylists for the 90s that kind of set that whole tone, like with Lil' Kim with the pink hair, the whole everything same color. And she didn't get the just due that she was supposed to do over time. I mean, she did her work, but we see that effect of her, filtrated through everybody and culture today. And I say that to go into, we are now just starting to get notoriety for our own stuff without being appropriated and taken and sold back to us. When you're speaking on speak on Black brands today that you may have done business with that don't have longevity in name, but they're good quality. How do you get the community at large to buy into those kind of institutions?
Well, I think that, with anything, man, you can only control what you can control, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about a culture change of how we shop. I think that intentionally we have to go back to intentionally wanting to make sure that, that dollar is passed around 8 or 9 times before it leaves the community. Mm-hmm. I think the problem is that we don't have any patience or forgiveness for each other. I really see, whereas, we may do business with someone one time, and because they may have made a mistake or whatever it may be, we cancel that business, right? Mm-hmm. And so until we can find patience, forgiveness, and transparency with one another, I think that, and also to add, intentionally keeping a black dollar in our community, I think we will always have that situation. But what I would more importantly would want to say is what I'm noticing is that I think one of the fundamental things is that, and not to chastise any brand, right? Because I see it in all brands, whether it's owned by whoever. I think more importantly for us, we have to go through the phases of the business, right? Mm-hmm. I see so many businesses that start that automatically want to charge $20 for fried chicken or whatever they serve. Right. Like we get when we're planning our business, we take this number and we come up with a number.
Right.
We don't do the fundamental things that, and I'm only saying this because I've worked with Emerald, I've worked with the Satanovich family who own Drago's. When you're putting together a restaurant, there are steps that you take to get to that plate cost, right, of what you're going to charge the guests. And I don't think that in a restaurant industry, the Black-owned ones, that everyone does that. Gotcha. I think that what we do is we say, oh, such and such is charging $15. I can charge $15, right?
Right.
And it happens in all the industries, whether it's hair, whether it's whatever we sell. That's what we do. Right.
It's true.
I will stand corrected if anybody can prove me wrong, but I've been studying it. Mm-hmm. I've been studying it, and we don't want to know exactly how much it costs to open our doors every day. Mm. We just want to open.
Gotcha. Right.
So until I'm just trying to answer your question on how we can do better.
Job. Go ahead.
Until we can actually go through the processes of understanding how much it costs for us to be in the business we're in. I don't care if we're selling flowers or coffee, how much it costs to open every day, how much it costs for labor every day, how much your direct goods cost, your cost of goods.
Right.
If you don't do those things, then you're probably just making enough just to stay open.
Right.
And I don't think anybody is in business just to keep people employed and just stay open.
Right.
Right. And so when we talk about how to get people to want to support us, I think that we have to do a great job of positioning ourselves at a fair rate for what you're doing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Great experience, because that's what leads to the relationship. Right. If I walk in every time and look, I'm in California. I went to Chick-fil-A. I know people have the issues with Chick-fil-A, but I'm telling you, man, they have the best customer service anywhere. I'll put it up next to anybody.
Right.
And you can say what you want. From the curb appeal when you pull up to when you actually get your food, it's the best experience.
Yeah.
And what we used to call that was, when I first started in the hospitality industry, it was called Disney World customer service training. Mm-hmm. They used to use Disney World's model to train hospitality workers. Gotcha. Because Disney is just like that. You know, you see that Mickey hand, you know, just all about the guest experience, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's what Chick-fil-A does. And I promise you, they have adapted the most during the pandemic. You go, listen, they got people out there directing people where to go.
Right.
Look, hey, pull your car up. Hey, how are you today? It's hot. Yeah, I know, we know it's hot. Oh my God, we're glad we're here. No, you can't. Either you have that or you don't. Right? So you can create a culture like that where we're going to provide you with everything you need. We're going to also give you a fair value. Their prices ain't go up because they hire more people. Their prices are the same.
Because they understand the science of it.
They understand it. But they also know exactly what it costs to make that product.
That's what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. So like when I talk about the science of the business, it's something you mentioned earlier. And it can translate to online marketing as well, and any other business. The model is the model. And I think oftentimes we have the heart or the capabilities of creating, but you know, how to put that product out so it can have sustainability may not be the same artist that you have inside, right? Those things may not translate, right?
Sure.
So in business, you have like you take online. If I set up this whole platform and I pay for it and I hit boost because I want 3,000 people to watch this video. What I'm saying is, okay, how many people clicked on this, right? So now I got to see if I spent $30 to get this thing to be boosted and only 3 people click, that's $10 a person. So I'm spending $10 a person to get this thing out in front of the public. That's not a good ROI, right? And that's what we're talking about, the science of the business.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm glad you touched on that. That's
And the other thing too is, man, you know, just to kind of hop back on brands, what I'm trying to encourage them on is to work with one another. Here's what I see. You know, I believe there is an effort and a push. It's still quiet to create this cloud kitchen space, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're going to eliminate the dining experience. We want people to order and have their food delivered to them. Mm-hmm. I really believe that there's an effort and a push that hasn't been made public yet, but I see it. I'm looking at the trends. Gotcha. And so, you know, will brick and mortar be sustainable, specifically in New Orleans, right? Will we be able to actually support the 1,200 plus food service licenses that we have in New Orleans alone? Right? The average rent in the French Quarter is $25,000 a month. Did you know that? We paused. I'm live. Lost him. I wonder if our time ran out. I'm here, brother. I'm gonna wait on you. For some reason he paused or he jumped out. Okay, cool. Hopefully he jumped back in. I wonder if am I still live on his show? Well, I'm gonna keep talking because I don't know if I'm live or not, but we're waiting on Ike to come back. We had some technical difficulties, so I am your boy Rudy the Foodie, and you know we're gonna talk a little bit about. We were talking about just brands pivoting and just us supporting one another. And shout out to Ike, man. He's put together a great product with this show. I think it's well needed and well deserved for us to be able to create just space to have the conversation about how can we be better in our community and how can we support one another. So I'm happy to be a part of this conversation, and I hope you guys support him in their efforts in having this conversation and creating this space. I also think that it's important to be able to listen to one another and to hear each other's perspective, and also, you know, what we have gone through, right? Because if we can share our experiences, that's how we can help someone else from making a mistake. So kudos to Ike and his team. I don't know how many people it is, but it's definitely a great product that they have put together to be able to create this space. So hopefully we'll have him back on shortly. I'm still live. It looks like I'm live because the timer's still on, but maybe we ought to end it here. But just to make my point, when you're a business and you're thinking about opening up a brick and mortar, I want to encourage everyone to really go through the study of the surrounding area that you're deciding to open around. Meaning that if you're opening in an area, a 2-mile radius, you need to see, if you're a restaurant, you need to see what other restaurants are in the area. And then you need to also go in those restaurants, patronize them to see how their traffic flow is. Also check their menu out to see what things are they're selling on their menu that you may be selling on yours, and how that competition may startle your business, right? The bottom line to it, and just in the 30,000 view of it, if you are a fried chicken wing spot, right, and that's what you serve the best wings in your opinion in the city or in your state, your town, you don't want to open next to Popeyes, or you don't want to open next to Church's Chicken or Kentucky Chicken or even Chick-fil-A or any other chicken competition, right? Because I mean, those are big brands. Those are called what we call box, big box brands that they're price point driven, and you can't compete with their price point. So I can get more chicken to feed more people at a less cost with those big box brands. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm referencing, going through the checks and balances of the brick and mortar space, and just making sure that whatever you're doing will survive and be sustainable with the area in. So, but with that being said, we had some technical difficulties. Ike had to jump off. I appreciate him inviting me over. Ike, I'm willing to have this conversation, to continue this conversation another time. I have some dinner reservations that I'm headed to. So as soon as I get back, let's link up again. You're still my guy. We're still going to do the Pythian when it's all said and done, man. So keep up the good work. And I really love the show and how you've made this all come together. You've worked really hard, and you deserve a lot of credit for what you do. Your dedication to the community is just superb. So I'm proud of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.